Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Lepakshi Khurana. Here are the top stories we're tracking for you on Wednesday, the 15th of January. India's Prime Minister Modi meets foreign ministers of Russia, Iran in New Delhi. Avalanches killed dozens in Pakistan-administered Kashmir. And traditional bull-taming festival Jallikattu begins in southern India. And now for all the details. India's Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar said on Wednesday that India intends to be a stabilizing force and not a disruptive power internationally. He made the remark at the three-day Raisina Dialogue, India's flagship global conference on geopolitics that began in capital New Delhi on Tuesday.
India's Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar said on Wednesday that India intends to be a stabilizing force and not a disruptive power internationally. He made the remark on the second day of Raisina Dialogue 2020, India's flagship global conference on geopolitics and geoeconomics that began on Tuesday in capital New Delhi. Apart from panel discussion on several issues, Iran's Foreign Minister Javad Zarif and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov also took part in the conference on Wednesday. Jaishankar said that India has a huge diaspora, is a pool of global talent and is a pluralistic and democratic society.
I think it is not the India way to be an disruptionist power internationally. I think we should be a stabilizing power. I think there are already enough forces of disruption in the world, so somebody needs to make up a bit. It's also not the India way to be self-centered, to be mercantilist. Therefore, it's important to be global. It's important to be law-abiding or rule-based, whichever way you like.
The Raisina Dialogue began on Tuesday with 7 former heads of state or government sharing their perspective on challenges facing the world, including the US-Iran tensions, Afghan peace initiatives and climate change. The inaugural session was attended by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and his Iranian counterpart Javad Zarif called on Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi in separate bilateral meetings in Indian capital New Delhi. Both leaders took part in the Raisina Dialogue that brings together 700 international participants from over 100 countries.
Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov called on Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi at his residence in New Delhi on Wednesday. He paid a courtesy visit to Modi after addressing the Raisina Dialogue, an annual security and geopolitical conference held in New Delhi, where he made a strong pitch for India's long-standing demand of becoming a permanent member of United Nations Security Council. Later, Iran's Foreign Minister Javad Zarif also met Prime Minister Modi after attending the multilateral conference in New Delhi. Zarif's participation in the Raisina Dialogue assumed significance as the global attention is focused on US-Iran tensions post the killing of Iran's most powerful military commander Qasem Soleimani by a US drone strike earlier this month. Zarif at the conference said an existing nuclear deal Iran struck with world powers in 2015 was not dead, and that he was unsure if any new pact agreed by US President Donald Trump would last. Trump's administration had abandoned the pact aimed at curbing Iran's nuclear program in 2018 and has since reimposed economic sanctions on Tehran.
Moving on, hospital reports of Pakistan's former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif have revealed that he is suffering from a severe cardiac disease and is at risk of another heart attack. The reports came a day after an image of Nawaz Sharif in a London restaurant went viral, which raised doubts over his deteriorating health. An accountability court had allowed Sharif to leave for London for medical treatment last year, despite ordering 7 years in prison to him in the corruption case.
Pakistan's former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif is suffering from a severe cardiac disease. His latest medical reports by the Royal Prompton Hospital in London have revealed. Sharif's personal physician, Dr. Adnan Khan, in a tweet on Tuesday, shared the 3 different medical reports which suggested the former Premier's heart is at risk of another heart attack or an adverse cardiac event. The reports further recommended urgent heart intervention, which is important for Sharif's survival. This comes as an image of Nawaz Sharif in a London restaurant went viral, in which he was seen sitting along with family members and looked stable. The image was uploaded by Federal Science Minister Fawad Chaudhry on Twitter, which raises doubts over Sharif's health, to which Dr. Adnan Khan had said, Sharif has been recommended by the doctors to go out for short walks, but sadly, the issue is being politicized. On December 24, 2018, an accountability court had sentenced Nawaz Sharif to 7 years in prison in the Al Azizia Still Mill corruption case, but due to his health condition, he was allowed to leave for London for medical treatment in November last year.
At least 59 people were killed and many more were missing after avalanches hit Pakistan-administered Kashmir over the last 24 hours, officials said on Tuesday. Meanwhile, heavy snowfall in southwestern Balochistan destroyed several houses in the mountainous region, killing 17 people.
At least 59 people were killed and many more were missing after avalanches in Pakistan-administered Kashmir over the last 24 hours, officials said on Tuesday. A video emerged from Arankil village showing people rescuing a man buried under snow. Rescue teams said they had managed to extract more than 50 people in the Neelam Valley from the snow, as many villagers were still stranded by the avalanches following heavy rain that also triggered landslides. Meanwhile, heavy snowfall in Balochistan destroyed several houses in the mountainous region, killing 17 people. The Disaster Management Authority declared an emergency in 7 districts of the mineral-rich province and sought the army's help for relief and rescue operations. Key highways connecting Pakistan and Afghanistan were also blocked due to heavy snow.
हम लोग तपकान से आ रहे पंजाब जा रहा है अभी इधर बर्फ पड़े सारे रास्ते बंद है गाड़ी सारा स्लिप करता है ना हम बस सरकार से ये दरख्वास्त है रिक्वेस्ट है कि अब भाई ग्लेडर ले आओ मशीनरी वो बस आधे घंटे में सारा 1 घंटे में सारा रास्ता साफ करेगा ये इधर छोटे छोटे ट्रैक्टर लाए वो किधर से साफ करेगा 3 दिन में भी साफ नहीं कर सकता.
Meanwhile, in neighboring India, at least 10 people, including 4 soldiers and a border security force personnel, were reportedly killed in the past 48 hours after several avalanches hit the northern part of India's Jammu and Kashmir.
In news from Afghanistan, former Afghan warlord Gulbuddin Hekmatyar has said that the US has asked the Taliban to agree to the presence of some of its forces in Afghanistan and cut ties with Iran after a potential peace agreement between the two sides.
Leader of Hizb-e-Islami Party, Gulbuddin Hekmatyar, on Tuesday said that the US has asked the Taliban to agree to the presence of some of its forces in Afghanistan and cut ties with Iran. Former warlord Hekmatyar said the US brought these two issues as preconditions for signing a peace agreement with the Taliban. This comes days after US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo blamed Iran for undermining the Afghan peace process and said the Iranian government has links with militant groups in Afghanistan. Meanwhile, White House National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien, in an interview with the news website, said that the US and the Taliban might finalize a peace agreement during the current year. With no consensus among the parties for peace process, the US Special Envoy Zalmay Khalilzad is reportedly expected to meet Afghan leaders in Kabul once the Taliban finalizes its position on the reduction of violence. Afghan government led by President Ashraf Ghani has maintained that Taliban must accept a ceasefire ahead of any peace talks, and without a ceasefire, there would be no peace talks.
Braving the winter chill, Hindu women in Nepal have been gathering at the banks of Sali Nadi River to take holy dips and offer prayers as part of rituals of a month-long religious festival. The annual festival in the Himalayan nation is marked by fasting and reading sacred text.
Hindu women in Nepal have been gathering at the banks of Sali Nadi River to take holy dips and worship Lord Madhav Narayan as part of rituals during an ongoing festival of Sri Swasthani Brat Katha. The month-long festival is marked by fasting, especially by women for their family's welfare or for getting a good spouse. The festival usually begins from the full moon day in January and ends on the next full moon day. Devotees during the festival read one chapter out of 31 lessons a day from the religious book Swasthani, which comprises of stories including tales on creation of the world, Hindu deities and demons.
एक महिनाभरि हामी 4 बजे उठ्छौं अनि यहाँ 4 बजे शंख बजाउँदै आउनुहुन्छ सागनहरु अनि शंख बजाएपछि हामी सुत्नु हुँदैन अनि उहाँहरुले शंख बजाएपछि हामी आएर साली नदीमा आएर अनि माधव नारायण भगवानलाई माथि स्नान गराउनुहुन्छ हामी तलबाट स्नान गर्छौं.
Devotees who observe fast during the festival do not eat foods cooked by others. They only eat rice, sugar, peas among those considered sacred. On the final day of the fasting, all the offerings made to different gods are immersed in the river.
An annual 3-day international kite festival coinciding with the Hindu festival of Makar Sankranti was held recently with much enthusiasm in India's southern Hyderabad city. The event witnessed a heavy rush of local visitors and participants from over 15 countries.
Enthusiastic kite flyers from across the world filled the skies with different colors as they flew hundreds of different shaped kites during an international festival in India's southern Hyderabad city recently. As many as 50 foreign and 55 Indian kite flyers participated in the 3-day-long event. Kite flyers from over 15 countries including Australia, Indonesia, Ukraine and the United States showcased their skills at the event.
करीबन 15 कंट्री से 50 इंटरनेशनल काइट फ्लायर जो टॉप के इंटरनेशनल काइट फ्लायर्स है ये पार्टिसिपेट कर रहे हैं और दूसरा 55 डोमेस्टिक जो इंटरनेशनल काइट फ्लायर है डोमेस्टिक के वो पार्टिसिपेट कर रहे हैं.
Kite flying has been a ritual in India on Hindu festival of Makar Sankranti for years now, which is celebrated every year on January 14. This day is set to mark the end of the winters and transition into spring season in India, bringing joy for the farmers of getting new crops.
Scores of participants got into arenas as the traditional bull-taming festival of Jallikattu began in southern India on Wednesday. More than 2,000 bulls will participate in Jallikattu, which will be held till January 31st in the province.
The traditional bull-taming festival of Jallikattu, which is part of Harvest Festival Pongal, kicked off in Madurai district of India's southern Tamil Nadu province on Wednesday. The Indian version of the Spanish sport doesn't aim to kill the bulls but to dominate and tame them and pluck away bundles of money or other treats tied to their specially sharpened horns. A retired district judge who is overseeing the moral conduct of Jallikattu in Madurai said that specific instructions have been given to participants under legal guidelines to not commit atrocities on the bulls and ensure operating within legal limits. Scores of participants got into arenas as the competition began. More than 2,000 bulls will participate in Jallikattu, which will be held till January 31st in the province.
அவர்கள் காளை பிடிப்பதற்கு பேட்சாக அவர்கள் 75 பேர் வரை ஒரு முறை ஒரு பேட்சில் 75 பேர் உள்ளே இறக்கப்பட்டு 60 காளைகள் ஒரு நிமிடத்திற்கு ஒரு காளை விடப்பட்டு அந்த காளைகளை அவர் அணையும் போது சரியா ப்ராப்பராக எவ்வாறு அணைய வேண்டும் என்ற விசாரணைகள்லாம் சொல்லப்பட்டுள்ளது. காளைகளை துன்புறுத்தக்கூடாது, காளைகளை 10 பேர் மேலே போய் விழக்கூடாது.
India's top court had outlawed Jallikattu in 2014, saying it is cruel and not in keeping with what it described as the country's non-violent traditions. However, the Tamil Nadu government passed the Jallikattu bill in 2017, allowing the conduct of the traditional sport.
Well, that's all we have for you from South Asia this evening. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsia Newsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsia Newsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night.